Obsessed podcast. We'll be sitting down with a fresh guest each week. Someone who shares the same kayak fishing passion that runs through our veins. We're talking kayak anglers, kayak companies, lure experts. Heck, anyone who's got a story to tell about landing the big ones from a kayak. We're setting our sights on becoming the #1 kayak fishing podcast in the world. You'll get a chuckle, a grin, and hey, maybe even a belly laugh. Because we believe in the power of humor. But above all, we're here to educate and inspire. So, whether you're a seasoned kayak angler or just dipping your toes into this exhilarating world, join us on the Kayak Fishing Obsessed podcast. It's time to reel in adventure, camaraderie, and the joy of the catch. Here's your host, Daren Wendell.
What is up, everyone? My name is not Daren. My name is Seth Taylor, SoFlo Taylor, and Daren will be with us any second now. He is having technical difficulties. But in the meantime, I'm going to run this deal. Daren will hop in whenever he gets here. And we have a guest tonight. Many of you probably know. So I'm going to bring him in right now, and we're going to talk about this past weekend, the Bassmaster kayak series on Dale Hollow a little bit, and then we're going to get into some river fishing, which I need a lot of help with. So without further ado, here he comes. Jake. What's up, Jake?
What's up? We've seen a lot of each other lately.
Yeah. So Jake and I were both at the Bassmaster event this past weekend in Tennessee, and pretty much everywhere I went, I ran into Jake. I'm like, hey, Jake. Hey, how you doing? So
yeah, it was wild when I saw you on the water. I was like, man, this must be the ramp.
Yeah, it was. Did
you go to that ramp?
That was the ramp. That was the one.
I should have gone to that ramp. I didn't actually do that well at that ramp, oddly enough. I did catch the biggest rock bass I've ever caught, which was like
it's a good one. Well, when I saw you, when you guys were coming in and I was going out, you were coming from the wrong direction, and I was also going to the wrong spot. So that area.
Yeah, I went to the islands. I was all over on Goat Island and stuff, and it looked really good, and there was a ton of grass, but
nothing. Yeah,
wasn't happening.
So yeah, let's before Daren hops in here and we do river fishing, give us a breakdown of your Bassmaster event up there, how everything went, and how you did.
I actually had a lot of fun. Like, I'd say the worst day I was up there was probably the first day of practice. Like, I literally I caught one bass. I think that's probably the day I saw you, because I was coming in from Goat Island, and that's where I caught the one bass. But otherwise, like, every other day was a blast, including the second day of the tournament, even though my motor was broken and I was kind of paddling around, and like it was a lot of work, but I was having fun because I was in like the coolest area in the lake, and I'd take that to my grave. We were in such a cool area, but I mean, the dude caught the big bass in that area, so clearly we were around some big fish. But I think overall that was an awesome lake, and Dale Hollow really surprised me. Like, I thought I was going to be like catching big smallmouth offshore and stuff like that, but I ended up, fishing shallow for largemouth. I did catch a lot of smallmouth while I was there, but I'll save that story for the river section, because I actually fished the proper river, and I just absolutely just waxed them. We caught so many, it was insane.
That's what I was going to ask you. Prior to going to that event, did you end up fishing? I guess not. Did you end up fishing in the event the way you planned
No. I was planning on trying to do some offshore stuff a little bit, but my heart was set on fishing the river. The problem with that is the section of river that I really wanted to fish was going to be a gamble. And what I mean is like, you had to be able to get up those riffles, and it's a lot of work to position yourself in the right way to get up those riffles, because they're shooting out, like, I don't know what the CFS was on that particular river, but it was coming down really quick. It was really rocky. So you're like paddling up it while motor going, because if you get stuck, you can't keep going. You have to be able to get up it. That's like what's in the rules. So I didn't want to gamble on that, because one broken motor, your day is shot. So I didn't end up doing that. But like, there was a section that didn't get fished that had some freaking really nice fish in
it. Interesting. So you ended up going main lake then? Like,
I still fished the river. I just fished a different style of the river. I fished in the backwaters of one of the river arms.
And that was your first time at Dale Hollow?
Correct. Yeah. I had been there, like, but never fished.
Yeah, it was beautiful. That was my first time as well. I did not expect to do what I did, which I was in like 10 to 12 feet of water for the most part, bed fishing. But I mean, I used a bait caster with 16-pound fluorocarbon the whole time. I expected to have a spinning reel in my hand, just like jiggling a minnow out there in deep water. And it just turned out that, I found some on beds and I was just going to bed fish, which was nice because I don't have to go look for them. And I can see Darren in the back room right now trying to get his stuff working. So the Bassmaster kayak series, how many of those events do you do a year? Is this your first one, or you do the trail?
No, I'm pretty sure that was like my 15th or something.
Holy smokes. So you're a seasoned vet at these.
I don't even know, maybe not 15. Let me think. Like there's 4, 7. I think that was my 10th. Something like that.
And do you stay at a house with a bunch of guys? Do you camp? What do you guys do?
I usually stay at a house. Usually it's me, Drew, and whoever. I used to travel with the Real Yak Dragger a lot, Ryan Reed, but he has since taken some time off of doing that stuff. So this is a whole new cast. I was kind of solo on this one. So usually we fish in a group when we pre-fish, but I just fished the whole time by myself. I mean, I was a little bit with Pete, who we ran into when I was with him. But otherwise, we were just kind of chilling. So.
Well, that's awesome, dude. That's cool. I usually can't, but I had a buddy that said I could crash on his extra bed that he wasn't using for free. So I'm like, let's do that. All right. Well, let's get into, since Darren's taking a minute here, let's get into some river fishing. And I know you and Drew run the Kayak Adventure series, which is is big on the adventure aspect of the kayak fishing, which gets back into the rivers and places that boats don't go, and the adventure side of things. So what pulls you and probably Drew as well into the river aspect of these lakes and all these different places, like the river aspect? Because I usually just go main lake typically. So what draws you to like the rivers? Is it more fish? Is it better fishing? Different experience?
Yeah, I don't know if better fishing is the right word. I just think rivers to me are exciting because they're always changing. Like a river is never the same for a decade. Heck, it's never the same year to year. Sometimes like it can drastically change from season to season based on how much rain, what's happened, and like the way they set up on rivers is just exciting. Like I think you can fish really aggressive sometimes on rivers, just because like the river isn't this like lazy thing, it's like it's constantly moving. And
Right.
Fish in there, they tend to be fighters. They tend to be exciting. They tend to be like aggressive. Now, I'm not saying that you can't finesse fish, because like that's one of the lures that you're going to have in certain, especially in the summer when the water's low, you got to have finesse. But I just, the river to me is just exciting. And, I don't always fish the river in these tournaments. In fact, I would say I usually don't, believe it or not, because with the way the rules are written in Bassmaster, it is very difficult to fish some of the stuff that you used to be able to, because you cannot portage, you can't get out of your kayak. There's really weird rules about,
you got to be back in a certain time.
Which I feel like kind of is already your hard limit, right? So like if you have the 1 hour thing, like at that point you should have no limitations on how far you go up the river, because you've got to be back in an hour, within an hour anyway. So there's your hard boundary, right? Because you can't go 50 miles up the river because you're never making it back.
Exactly. Yep. Well, hey, we got Daren in here. He looks like he might be on a mobile device.
Oh my gosh, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
I'm gonna put my fist in my freaking computer right now. I am so. You guys ever get so pissed off when your electronics don't? I can go 0 to 100 in about 3 seconds, and that's where I'm at right now. So I don't even know what you guys are talking about. So
no, we did a little Bassmaster, talked about Jake's experience there at the Dale Hollow, and then we just got into why he likes river fishing, and that's where we're at. So Daren,
we freaking celebrate you and your second place finish, I hope.
No, we didn't do that.
What? Are you kidding me? Sitting in the midst of greatness, folks. In the midst of greatness. So there's Seth's second place win. Did you share anything about your win?
Nothing.
Your second?
Nothing, dude. Didn't share anything. I'm not gonna hop on here and boast. You already left me for 10 minutes, so I'm like, oh, I'm not gonna come on.
No, I got you scrambling. Well, hey Jake, what's up, brother? Sorry, I was having issues, but let's keep the
Darren,
conversation.
this is Jake, by the way.
Oh,
I know you guys.
Jake. Nice to meet you. I've never actually talked to him before. Asked him on the podcast. I know you're involved in Kayak Adventure Series, and so
Get ready to
looking
leave.
forward to- Yeah. Oh, which one are you leaving for?
South Boston. So it's the one in Virginia, not in Massachusetts.
Yeah.
But that one is on Friday, Saturday, just like all the other ones, but it's going to be a good one. There's going to be a lot of smallmouth caught, probably a lot of largemouth. So if you're on the fence, anyone's on the fence about that one, it's going to be a good one if you're in the area.
How many anglers you guys signed up for that one?
I think we're currently at 40 something. Which we expected to. There's going to be some last minute. I mean,
I'm always curious about this. How many? Because I was watching the Bassmaster. Seth and I were talking a bit, and like the day before, like Tuesday, and I think the cutoff's Wednesday. There's 180 anglers. And the next time I looked, there was 233 anglers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
50 signed up last minute. Thursday is the cutoff.
Okay.
So they signed up Thursday, and I was blown away because I was like, "Oh, 180. All right, I can do this." And then it was like 233. I'm like, "Holy moly!"
It's too much. The 50 extra I can't handle. I had 180, but not 230.
Yeah.
233. My
I mean,
God.
I fished the Susky last year when they had 268. Oh my gosh!
Oh, listen.
I never thought the Susky would feel small, but somehow they made it possible.
Darren, listen to this story. So we were talking, Jake and I ran into each other like every single place we could possibly run into each other in Tennessee.
Okay.
At Dale Hollow, like random subways on the lake, everywhere. So we were talking, and he fished the Susquehanna River. I grew up on the Susquehanna River in Pennsylvania. Like my town was right on the Susquehanna River. It was a small town. It's called Halifax. And I was telling him, he's like, "Oh yeah, that's where I put in at. I put in at Halifax." He launched at Halifax, my town in central Pennsylvania, to fish the Susquehanna event last year.
That's wild.
Halifax boat ramp, man. It's a little one-liner. It wasn't even in the water. The water was so low.
It's wild. So anyway, back to you guys.
Well, I got a bunch of questions about river. I know that's the tactical tonight. Before we head into the tactical, Seth, I got to hear a little bit. I only got to talk to you a little bit about the second place finish. Walk me through a little bit high level, and we'll get you back on where it's just me and you to kind of to download it. I'm sure it'll come out organically, and then we'll hop back and give the rest of the time to Jake. But what did you hear people were struggling with? Because you told me briefly there's a lot of people fishing where you were fishing. And you told me that you fished a technique that you never fish. And so if you think Seth was catching them on the jerkbait and the stunner, not this time, folks.
Yeah. So to start there, I caught him on a Nico rig, which I've caught one fish on in my entire life. So, but it was just out of necessity. So yeah, just high level. I went in thinking I was going to shake a minnow. I did a lot of research on the MLF that was there last year, which was 2 weeks before us, and they had worse weather. So I figured we were probably a month ahead of them, or behind them, a month behind them. So the fish would be more in a spawn pattern. But I still thought I was going to be offshore, shaking like suspended minnows on on suspended smallmouth. But I got there, and I went out, and I just ran into some smallmouth on a tree that was floating around. And they wouldn't bite. And then I just so happened to find a smallmouth on a bed in like 10 feet of water. I thought it was a largemouth, and I caught it, and I was like, well, that's interesting. Like the smallmouth are spawning. And I think I told Jake that, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe it was a largemouth I told him. So after I saw that, I went back the whole way back to as far as you can go back in the pocket. And I might've said this on the podcast previously, but one of the Elite Series guys I heard like a month or two ago, in his practice, he starts as far back like as you can start if you're not exactly sure where they're at in their phase, and he fishes his way out. So I'm like, all right, I got 2 days. Like, I'll take my time, go the whole way back, figure out where they're at in their phase. So I started back in the far, far back, and I'm scanning around with my Garmin, and I can see they're on wood back there. I saw a bass, a largemouth spawning in super shallow water. So I'm like, all right, well, they're spawning and they're shallow. That's good. And then I just kept moving out, and I just ran into these beds in 10 feet of water, which were probably like, these are coves and pockets, and everyone that I'm around is like fishing the banks and laydowns and everything like that. And I'm out in the middle in 10 feet of water, probably like 50 yards from them, and there's just beds out there. And I'm looking at them. I'm like, I cast in. I see like a really nice one. I cast in 22.5-inch largemouth on day one of practice, which is a big one. So pretty good size for Dale Hollow. And I'm like, holy smokes. Like these are all beds and no one knows they're there. Like no one's fishing them. And these are in like backwater kind of pockets, coves and everything. So I'm like, well, that's amazing. This is the first place I went to on day one of practice. I'm like, this is awesome. So
me too.
What's that?
I said me too.
Yeah. So like this is fantastic. So from there, I went out to the main lake to another area that I wanted to check, and there was some humps out there, and like there was deep water surrounded with some knolls that went to like 7 to 8 feet, and those were stacked with beds, but they were all smallmouth. And I'm like, holy smokes! Like there are literal beds everywhere, and most of the people that were out there were on top of the humps, but they were missing all the beds that were going when the knoll or hump, whatever it is, was going down. There's a bunch of beds on the surrounding in like 10 to 12 feet of water. So everyone was kind of dragging on top. So that was day one of practice. I just found a bunch of stuff. I'm like, holy smoke. So day two, I spent like 12 to 14 hours. This is going long-winded, just marking everything I could mark. Every single bed I could mark. I did like 120 points of beds between largemouth, smallmouth. And there was so many smallmouth beds that I got to the point where I'm like, I'm not even going to do these anymore. I'm just going to go back and do the largemouth and the pockets and coves because they were everywhere out deep. So day one of the event, I went and did my largemouth stuff. I did have like a big, like, I don't know how big it was, probably like a 6-pounder plus on a bed, largemouth. She was gone on day one. So that's where I went to first. But I had a nice bag of largemouth, had a 21-inch. I ended up catching some smallmouth in where I thought the largemouth were.
Right.
There's some nice smallmouth mixed in. I had like 96.5 inches, put me in third. And then I saved my main lake smallmouth deal for day two. I went out there on day two after I did a little largemouth for 2 hours. And there's a ton of people out there. But everyone that was out there was just like, I think they're either floating a minnow or dragging baits. No one was actually like focusing in that I could see on beds. So I went around all these people and just picked them off one after another and probably caught, I don't even know, like 30 out there. And I just kept rolling, man. And I was getting closer and closer to Ewing. And I was catching 18 after 18 and 19 and 18. I just needed like these 19.5s. Like I couldn't call my 18s that I was catching. I'm catching fish like every 10, 15 minutes. However long it took me to find a bed, I would catch that fish immediately. So
that's why I thought largemouth would win. Personally, I know we kind of talked about this already. Because there's like a smallmouth get 18 more commonly, like 18, 19 is easier to catch, but then like 20-inch largemouth is nothing. It's like
exactly, yeah. So I thought so too, but I was already in third going into day two, so I'm like, I had an option. This is the last thing I'll say. I had an option around 2 hours left to go. I'm like, I had one that was a nice one on a bed, probably over 20 inches, a largemouth. And I tried to fish that on day two for an hour and I couldn't get it. It was in like 10 feet of water. So with 2 hours left in the event, I had a decision to make and I needed to call a half an inch. A half an inch ties me with Ewing and I win the tiebreaker because I have a bigger fish. So instead of going and catching that fish and just just sending it, I decided to stay out on the main lake. And at that point I needed to call 3 inches. I'm sorry. I lied. I had to call 3 inches. Instead of going and catching the largemouth, I just stayed out there and nickel and dime the whole way till I got to about a half inch left and just ran out of time. Really ran out of time. So yeah,
I was out there fishing and I was watching it. We were fed with our old knucklehead team, and man, I wanted it so bad for you. I literally felt a bit depressed after I talked to you after lights out.
Yeah.
Super frustrated. Jake, you were out there. I didn't know that. What was your experience like?
So I ended up fishing some backwater stuff for post-spawn largemouth. And I was in a really good area. It's just some misplays really on my end. Like it's, lost fish is something that you have to have, but I knew there weren't going to be a ton of big bites, and I ended up losing 2 of my biggest bites on day one. So instead of having like around 90 inches, I ended up having like lower 80s, and that's on that lake, apparently, like that's a no-go. Like literally from like, I want to say 30 down to like 100 was like 85 inches. It was crazy. Like 85 inches on that lake is nothing. Like nothing. So, I mean, I mostly targeted like fry guarding largemouth because I knew I wasn't going to be able to compete with people out on the main lake shaking a minnow and the shoalie. And the shoalie's not designed for that anyways. So like I just focused on what it was good at, which was skinnier water. And since I couldn't get up the river I wanted to fish, which I think we kind of talked about this earlier, I couldn't get up that river. I ended up fishing like a backwater section of one of the rivers.
Why couldn't you get up it?
It was just too shallow and too swift. So like it would have been difficult. It might have been possible. But it was a risk to try to like go up current, and you could break a prop. And it's just, I did pre-fish that section of the river, and I felt very confident in that. And we caught a lot of fish, and I didn't even really fish that hard going down it because I was like, well, you don't want to beat them up on your way down in case you have to come back for 2 days. So
yeah, 100%.
But that would have been a smallmouth play, but I didn't catch a single smallmouth on Gale Hollow proper.
Okay. They're all bedding, all underneath Seth's kayak, apparently.
Yeah, they're all.
Yeah.
So I see some comments there, Daren.
Yeah, I'm gonna get over there real quick. I got one from Stinky River Tom.
She's a beauty.
$5. Thanks, boss. Appreciate that. He said, just subs and loving your videos as a brand new kayak angler. Appreciate you. Thank you for the support. Creek Crawler. Seth, did you get any pictures of what the beds look like on a scope?
No pictures. No pictures.
I'm gonna guess they look like a circle.
They look like a giant tire sitting down there with a white thing right in the middle. That's what they look like. Yeah, and there were some tires down there too that tricked me, by the way, because they had a reflection off the inside of the tire. And I was
they probably got me. They come off all those docks when they like break loose.
Yep.
Come on, I need Seth, the content creator, to pop in and take some of those videos, man. I'm just kidding. You're trying to win a freaking Bassmaster, and I'm over here like busting you for need to see the video content. Fishing with Gramps. What was he catching them on beds with? Never fished them that deep on a bed. And well, he's like, I never bed fish anyways. So it was a Magnum Baits reg stick. If you guys listen to the previous, Dark Horse tackle, baby.
Dark Horse tackle color. So it is what I don't even use a Senko anymore, which is wild. It's a stick worm. And it is in a Dark Horse tackle color, which is like a peanut butter kind of color, and it's very salted, has a perfect rate of fall and movement, and it is more durable than a Senko, costs less than a Senko, and it's a smaller company than Yamamoto for sure. And man, it's just been, I didn't win. I got second place. I got second place in this event, and like 2 weeks ago, I won an event on that. But the way I rigged it, I threw it weightless in practice just because I had time a little bit to mess with it and just sink it for 10 feet and take its time, and they loved it. But for this event, I Nico rigged it with a little weight, and I ran out of weights early in the day because every time I hit a smallmouth, they would rip, the weight would just go flying. And I wanted to glue them, but I was maybe superstitious a little bit. I was like, dude, I haven't glued a single one. And if I put glue on there and they stop biting, I'm going to lose my mind. So I didn't put any glue on, and I was just sticking any type of weight in the end, like just pencil, like any weight that I had, I would just shove it in there just so it would fall faster, be more efficient with my time. And you just jig it into smallmouth bed and they bite within like a minute.
You should have hit me up. I had more tunks and spikes than I know what to do with.
Oh, do you? Yeah. I went through like 30. I never use them. They're just sitting there, but I used almost all of them. So yeah,
dude, I went through so many Senkos, and like I'm not even supposed to be using those technically, but they were just, for whatever reason, they were the only ones that were working. And I swear I went through 3 packs in like one day. It was nuts. They were just ripping them off.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it worked. I mean, I just bounced it in the bed a couple times, and I haven't caught a smallmouth in like 10 years. And I never bed fished a smallmouth before in my life, but they get angry in the bed and they start like zooming around. Like
I warned you when we talked about it at Subway. I was like, dude, they'll eat a blank hook if you throw it down there.
Yeah, like I can tell it's a smallmouth or a largemouth based on, as soon as the bait gets in the bed, they're like shooting around, zigzagging. Once I start seeing them do that, I'm like, all right, it's just a matter of time till they take the bait. And usually it's within a minute or so I start feeling them. But they trick me sometimes. They would pick up the bait walk it off the edge of the bed, and I just see them swimming, and they come back, and then I go to jig it, and I see my bait is like 10 feet off to the right. I'm like, you son of a gun. I said, the next time that I see you swim off this bed, I'm setting the hook. Because sometimes it's hard to feel, when there's a little bit of wind and all that. So, yeah, it was 16-pound fluorocarbon on a bait caster is the setup.
Okay.
So, yeah.
That's a power Neko rig, man.
So I wasn't playing. I was.
Yeah, you gotta mess around. You're losing one. Dang sure. It's interesting because those spikes can be really expensive. You guys hearing an echo at all?
No.
Good. Because I got like some janky setup right now with the phone, but I end up buying like panhead screws. You can get like 100 of them at the at like Home Depot or something or Lowe's, and they have like a screw that's this long and it's a weight. You basically just screw it in, and man, they're so incredibly cheap and do the exact same thing that a 5-pack for $6 nail weight. Yeah. Now, granted, it's steel, it's not tungsten, so but nonetheless, if you're ripping through them, a little hack there. So the reg stick was interesting because when we had Dark Horse Tackle on, you asked them the question, hey, is there anything that you guys carry that performs like a Yamamoto Senko? And they both unanimously at the same time were like, oh yeah, the reg stick. And he told me right at the show, they sold out of the reg sticks. So I don't know if they got them back in now. You can check it out at Dark Horse Tackle, but nonetheless, that's awesome. Yeah. All right. What else have we got here? We got a bunch of questions. Fishing with Gramps said PBJ was popular down there in Dale Hollow. Let me see
that's what I was catching mine on, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, PB&J. I use Green Pumpkin a little bit because I obviously went through a lot, but PB&J caught the bigger fish. I don't know why, but
yeah. The one thing I like about the reg stick is that it's not like the the Elastec. It's not like that. It is like it's a softer plastic, but it's more durable than a Senko. So I mean, I was catching
much,
and you're right, and it holds. It's like a Senko over time, at least for me, it gets like flimsy and it just doesn't have the flutter as you.
Yeah, I noticed that because obviously I was using a lot of them, and I was like, man, it feels so good on a fresh one. It's like you could feel it thumping.
Yes, 100%.
And then like 6 casts later, it's like
it gets floppy, and then it just upside down the whole way. Like it doesn't have the, but the reg stick holds it a lot longer. It's action. Like you can get more fish out of those for sure. 100%.
You have one on you, Seth?
Do I have one on me? I think they're all in my truck. I took everything with me in the truck. Yeah. I don't think I have any. I only have like 3 or 4 packs left too, so I'm gonna have to order more.
Yeah.
Nothing in here right now.
I have a feeling you won't have to order them if you don't want to. You give them a ring.
I'm gonna give them some pictures on the trophy with their bag because they caught all my fish the entire weekend.
We had a question in here from Colin B. Basson about what hook you were using, and while you answer that, I'm gonna put myself in the green room because I gotta go. I got like 6% battery life because obviously I wasn't planning on using my phone tonight, and so guys, let you take it away. I'll be back in a minute.
Peace. So I used a Gamakatsu 2-aught wide gap hook. I think that's
like the finesse circle ones.
Yeah, it's kind of like a finesse circle. Yeah, it's not a perfect circle hook, but it's similar. Yeah.
Dude, I started using a new hook that I love that would have probably worked really well for you. It was and I was using it for the wacky rig, is the Owner Sniper Finesse. I've never tried them, but you can get it. I think they come in like a 10-pack. So I was like, you know what? I'll try these. And they were legit.
I am looking. I just spilled my drink on my Knowing Bass, a $200 book. I'm going to write that down. It was, if I can find a pen in here. There it is. What was it again?
The Owner Sniper Finesse. I've used a lot of finesse hooks, and like I've been experimenting a lot, and I was using that for wacky rigs. And honestly, I think I had a fish get wrapped around a log. I just posted that on my Instagram. I
saw that video. Yeah, dude, go watch this
video. Was that hook, and it kept him on that freaking log. And that was my 5th fish. Now, granted, it was like a 16 or something, right? But it was still like when you only have 4 fish and your 5th fish is wrapped around a log, you're sitting there thinking like, oh no.
That thing was dangling too. Like it was just like dangling off the limb right there on that log.
So dude, I was actually picking him out a lot longer than that. It probably was like at least 2 minutes of me like try and get him out.
What was the size that you were using?
Oh, I think I was using a 1 or a 1/0. I think it was a 1, size 1.
All right.
But they're all. I was really impressed, and it takes a lot to impress me. But I think that's my new one right there. Is the owner sniper finesse. It was legit.
Good deal. Good deal. Oh, he's back. I was just about to go.
I'm back. I'm charging.
Perfect.
All right, let's get back into a little bit more tactical. I'm sure what you guys talked about when I was gone was riveting and amazing. I'm sorry. I hope that's not stopping a great conversation here. But let's talk a little bit about Jake. What time are you just running? And I heard you mention your kayak. This is a KFO show. What kayak or kayaks do you run? I know that you recently in a smallie had my hands on Drew's as well. You're running the Shoalie at Dale Hollow. Like, what? Do you have multiple?
Yeah, I have a Crescent CK2 Venture as well. I'm not sure I'm going to keep that though. It's so big. It's a little bit difficult to truckload. It's a great kayak if you got a trailer. And I also have a Hobie PA12, which I don't fish out of a ton. I actually won that one from AOY points last year. But
you won it? How?
I'm on the Eco Fishing Pro staff, so like when you hit a certain threshold in AOY points and Bassmaster, you get a free kayak.
Oh, so nice.
That's what I picked. I was like, I want something completely different, and I didn't really use. I don't really use it very much. I'd like to because it's a lot better for like live scoping and stuff, but
sure,
I don't really do that a lot. I tried pinging a minnow a little bit at Dale Hollow, and they kept looking at it thinking like, I don't think so. And I was like, you know what? I've had enough.
I heard that from a lot of people that they must get dinged a lot.
They definitely do. Yeah, I saw some giant smallmouth though, like on the sonar, and I was like, man, if somebody could catch these,
yeah,
it's all.
So you said you were just fishing for you were fishing shallow for smallmouth. Is that what you're going for, Jake?
No, I went primarily all largemouth.
Oh, okay.
So I targeted like post-spawn fry garters. I did catch one spawner that was like a 19, I think. But mostly what I was targeting was fry guarding largemouth and backwater sloughs and stuff like that. So I was fishing around a lot of like flooded timber.
All right. So when you fish,
I only had like 2 or 3 rods with me on day 1. I took 4 on day 2 though.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. So you're kind of a minimalist.
Typically you won't see me fish the actual tournament with more than 5 rods.
And you just well, Seth, you're kind of the same way. You're like, hey, I got my 5 things and I rotate through them and I can
I personally don't think like you need, I heard Ewing say he had 10 rods with different jig head minnows, and like I get that if you're just fishing jig head minnows and you've got a big PA14 that you're trailering, sure. But like I don't have that, so like to me, like if I want to try something, I can retie in 30 seconds. So that's kind of my theory.
Yeah. I had 3 rods. I had on day 2 when I had it figured out. It was a weightless wacky rig Senko, a Nico rig, and a drop shot on a spinning reel that I didn't even pick up. Didn't even touch. So yeah, once you got it figured out, I always felt that way. Like for me, if I'm going into an event in practice, I have a ton of rods. If day 1 I have a bunch of stuff on my kayak, it means I really didn't figure them out. At least for me, like it means I'm going to be throwing this and maybe this and then this and this. But if I get them figured out, I usually just have a variation of like 1 thing or 2 things, and I go light.
I didn't even have the most important rod apparently, which was a frog rod, because that's what they were eating in our area.
Yeah.
And I had grabbed some goat toads with the intention of throwing them that day, but then I accidentally left them in the truck that morning, and I got like halfway to the spot because I had like a 30-minute run to where I was fishing, and you had to make this run. It was a very isolated area, and I got halfway there and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't have those stupid frogs. Came back to haunt me.
I didn't follow. I didn't read the articles. I know there's a bunch out today, but what was Ewing doing that brought him his success? Was it essentially the same thing, Seth, or was it something a little different?
No, I think he was, if I'm not mistaken, I think he was jigging a minnow over a sweet
That's
spot.
all he had.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all he had.
He had 1 area, and that did perform really well for him. And then he lost his drive, I think. Something broke on his
I
kayak.
think his belt broke or something.
His belt. Okay, so he started drifting over it, and then he started figuring some things out. And I think he had one really nice area that performed for him on a minnow, I believe.
He's deadly with that thing.
That's awesome. I got some comments over here. One from Chad Hoover taking a shot at you, Seth. That looks like that dude that'll be driving a Trans Am when he's 57 years old.
I'm that dude.
I see it. I see it. I don't know why. I do. You got some chuckles in the comment section there.
What will Chad be driving when he's 57? Maybe he is 57.
I don't know how old Chad is. Chad, how old are you, man? Oh my gosh, so good. What Creek Crawler says, hey, when someone shows up with less than five rods, follow them. They got it figured out.
I mean, he did come crawling to me for some lures after day one. So
Creek?
He didn't give back.
Oh, yeah, you mooch. Everyone mooches. You know, you come over here, you don't give it. It's just, you pass them all around from time to time. I'm actually heading down to Gunnersville next week. On my way down to be fishing with Rudd and Creek Fishing Adventures. Then I'm going to spend 6 days on Gunnersville with Chad. And I don't plan on bringing anything. I just plan on using all his baits. So it'll be good.
That's the way to do it.
I know.
We were just talking about how I'm about to mooch a bunch of baits because I'm flying to South Boston. So
that's tough.
Well, I've got 2 travel rods ready to go. I'll borrow another rod and then I'll have a few baits, but if there's anything I need, I'll just borrow it.
Man, I've never flown somewhere. I think that'd be difficult for me. I don't know. I mean, your travel rods, they got to be pretty. Are they like 2-piece or 3-piece? Or are they like
I've actually got
ultralights? What are they? Got them with
so they're just in this case. It's actually one of these is a swim bait rod. So like it just goes in this case. And you can carry it on, and Southwest doesn't say anything, and it's 3-piece rod. So it's I don't know how well we can see in this view, but you can see it's not very big.
What's it called? Swim bait rod, huh?
This is a Mega Bass Dragoon, and the other one is a Mega Bass ALO. It's the Triza series.
Okay. All right. How much of those, if you don't mind me asking, how much of those run?
Well, I want to say they're like 3 something, but I got them on sale. I never buy stuff at retail, so I wait for the sales to buy all my stuff.
There you go. All right, so let's head back into smallmouth tactical. When I think smallmouth, I typically think rivers. I mean, is that where you typically fishing those, Jake? I see a lot of your photos.
Yeah, I can't tell you the last time I caught a lake smallmouth.
Okay.
I didn't catch one at Dale Howell. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. But tell us what's going through your mind. I mean, do you fish primarily? I mean, I imagine you're in Illinois. Where in Illinois are you?
I'm right on the border there of Illinois and Missouri, so right by the Ozarks. So that's why I'm always down there smallmouth fishing.
Okay. So are you like John, where you're constantly trying to find a different fishery, and so you're traveling all over the place trying to find those, or are you limited because of work or whatnot, or do you do this full time? Like I'm curious.
Yeah, I do a few things. Yeah, I do a few things full time now, content stuff, but then I also have like some other content gigs that I do, like consulting type stuff. But I mean, I do travel a lot. I tend to use Kayak Adventure Series to do some of the more explorative type stuff because you're there anyways, right? Working the event. So like gives you a great opportunity to explore a new water body. So like when we were up in Wisconsin, I went and fished the Wisconsin River and caught some giant smallmouth up there. When we're in Michigan, I fished the what's that called? Starts with an M. But I fished that river and it was fantastic as well. And it got a chance to explore something I typically never would. So
what other KSs are you gonna be at? We're gonna actually get to meet each other face to face?
Yeah, I'll be at all of them this year.
Okay, right on. I'll see you at the Springfield here in about a month and a half.
That one will be a banger, man.
I enjoyed the one.
Yeah, that Florida one was dope. The limits there were crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, it was fun. I had a lot of fun on that.
So when you're heading to the river, Jake, what's going through your mind if you're going through a new place? Just walk us through. I think a lot of people, they probably just do the lake fishing stuff, smallmouth fishing. I always find it difficult because when I think about smallmouth fishing the rivers, I typically fish alone, and it's all kinds of issues with you almost need two people if you're going to float a river, so forth and so on. So I never really get around to it a lot unless you just kind of wade fish and walk up and down a little bit. So do you typically, when you river fish, you hopping in your kayak and doing a float, or you just wading in?
I'd say it's 50-50. I do a lot of single access, especially with motors. You go up a river and you can just single access. You can do that solo or with people. I mean, I prefer to single access. I actually think fishing upriver is easier, but fishing like a float is obviously a little bit more like conducive to actually like covering water, I guess, if you really want to break it down. It's also more consistent because you're not constrained by water levels, especially when it's cooler. It can be a little tougher because you don't really want to get out in like 36-degree water and start dragging over a riffle. So that's just some of the things that you have to consider. But I mean, I think with Newports, especially like the NK300, you can solo access most things this, 80% of the year. I think it's just like summer can be a little tough. I love doing floats in the summer because like you can get out, sit in the water, wade around.
Oh, yeah. So your NK300, I was talking to Drew. I was over at his house dropping the smallie back off. I only live like 30 minutes from Drew, which was fun of actually being able to hang out a bit. And he was telling me he gets like over 8 miles an hour. Has NK300 hooked up to his smallie. I was like, holy crap. I think the most I get is like 4.5. I can't even imagine going 8 miles an hour in a kayak. Sounds amazing, to be honest with you.
That might be downriver. I don't think he gets that on flat water.
It doesn't matter. Just going that fast in a kayak would be.
Yeah, because usually like 6.5 to 6.8 is kind of top end.
That's crazy.
Oh.
I run a smooth 4.5, 4.6, and then you get hydrilla, and then you run 0. And you go backwards to clean it off.
Do you have an XI3?
I do, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember when we ran into each other on the water what you had.
Yeah, XI3, yeah.
You plan on getting a stern mounted at all, Seth?
No.
You're
fine. I need to be held in one spot from the front. Like what is it called? Pinpoint for Motor Guide. Pinpoint, always called spot lock, but yeah, I need that.
Yeah.
4.5 is good enough. If I can't get there, and it's not where I need to fish, I guess we'll stay where I'm at.
I mean, it's a big upgrade from paddling in your Hobie, which you used to pedal.
Yeah, I did a while, just a whole season with just pedaling. Yep.
You still made it happen.
That was a game changer. That having a motor, having that bow mount there, that was a game changer for sure.
I actually just had someone tell me that they got a motor and they don't like it. Like they just whatever. I asked them why, and they never got back to me. They were like, "Hey, I got a motor, and I end up like just not enjoying fishing as much." I was like, "All right, interesting." Because I paddle once, and I don't like fishing anymore. So I guess it's to each his own.
I like to use the pedal drive when I'm at my location because it's a little bit it's quieter. It's just easier. I don't have to touch a button or anything. I just pedal. I stay in position while I'm like fishing an area. But if I'm fishing a piece of structure or something that's under the water or a bed, then I'll just hit the pinpoint, hold my spot, and fish. But I do like to use a pedal drive if I'm in like working an area typically. Yeah. I just don't like pushing the button here and the motor go and then turn off. Like, it's a little loud.
Okay.
A little clunky.
Jake, do you pedal drive at all, or all you paddle? Well, your Hobie.
I don't really use the Hobie a ton, truthfully. I like it though. I actually think it's pretty dope. But reality is like I'm usually stern mounted paddle kayaks like the Shoaly. And honestly, you're more likely to see me paddling a river than in the Hobie.
Okay.
Straight up just paddling like outright. Like I actually have a river tournament coming up on the 10th, and my whole strategy is going to be paddling because I'm going somewhere super wild. So.
Ooh, juicy.
Yeah, I got a
Juicy.
pretty crazy strategy cooked up.
All right, we'll see if it pays off. So 40, how many you guys think you'll end up getting? And probably
I'm
60
hoping
to
in the
70?
70s. We'll see
Okay.
though.
Yeah.
This is, we do have the All-American, and I think the Kayak Team Series has an event the same weekend as well. So there's a lot of draw from other places. So it's just, it's tough being a kayak trail because like there's so many.
Mhm.
I mean, it's a good thing too. Like there's so many opportunities to fish cool events. So
what's your capacity at KAS? Because I see you on the website, you're part of the podcast. Like,
I do all our production, and I do a lot of our like behind the scenes stuff, and like any of our media or like social media, or I do a lot of editing, and I edit for other people as well occasionally when they ask. So kind of
oh wow, you just let that out for the world to know. Now you're in trouble.
Yeah.
I
I don't do it for free though. It's too much work to do it for free. So just full disclosure.
No, I hear you. I get companies all the time. I just had a conversation with a company. They're like, "Hey, we'll pay you this." And I was like, "Awesome," but like, "Well, we want it to be solely on our website." And I was like, "Well, so I don't own it anymore. Well, I just doubled the price because that's how I make my money as well on YouTube. And if you own it, then." And so we came to an agreement. It was interesting. People don't understand how much work editing and how much time it takes to do that. And if you have someone who's talented at it, yeah, it's
Yeah, I mean, it's like one of the one things that I am pretty good at, I guess. The short I edited this morning, I literally hadn't even looked at the footage. I just knew the clip existed. And in my mind, I was like, all right, I already know what I wanted because like I was there, it happened to me. So I knew exactly how I wanted to do it. So it was like a super easy edit, but like I could see like, for some people they would see that and like, man, that must take forever. I'm like, no, man, like once you get your rhythm down, it's a lot of work for sure, but it's like you can really get into like a process, but like that's like years of experience, companies don't understand. It's not like you just pull it out of that thin air.
No, 100%.
That's one thing I liked about the Kayak Adventure Series, the one that I went to, was for each person that made it on stage, like their biggest fish was up there. So it was cool. So you got to see everyone's fish. You got to see clips from the other anglers. So there was just like more media, like action, like more videos, more pictures. You got to see what everyone else was doing, like the big fish of the
I think
event.
we even had the one of the jerkbait in your hand up on stage.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great shot.
Yeah. So it was just cool to see, because most of the times in these events, you go to the ceremonies, you had 95 inches, good job, you won, and that's it. But behind you, when you're on stage for the Adventure Series, you're seeing like their best submitted fish, and sometimes there's a video, different things that are back there. So that was really cool. I liked that aspect of it, and I don't know what you guys call it, but when you have all those companies come in, is it and what was it called before the award ceremony that you have on?
We kind of just call it like the closing ceremonies festival type thing. You know?
So there's all these different brands and companies that are there, and you just walk around with the other anglers and you get to meet these folks. So it's almost like I don't know, like a mini little festival that you have prior to getting your awards and everything. So it's really cool.
Yeah. We always try to really focus on the fellowship aspect so people can just like meet other people and hang out. And like, we've always got some like kayak celebrities there too. So, like I think John Dalton was there and everybody loves talking to John. So
yeah.
Who doesn't love John? The Creek Crawler says, Jake's being humble, folks. He's the man behind the curtain for the KAS. So there you go. Fishing with Gramps. Jake had me twice on the drone. Oh, so you were on the drone as well.
Drew does some drone work too. Like I'm usually more like editing and like spot calling because two people can't do it at the same time. But
Right.
Drone work is difficult, and you have to pass a test in order to fly it. So a lot of people don't know that.
I'm a drone pilot, so I get it. I went through the whole process on it. So it's fascinating. I actually have a buddy of mine who runs drones for the police department up in Cleveland, and he's going to be coming to some of the events coming up, and he'll be running the drone. He's the guy that they send the drone in right before they send the SWAT team in, and so the drone's flying around the corner going making sure everything's safe and knowing who's there. And so,
like Call of Duty.
yeah, he's
That's pretty cool.
it's what he does. And so he's going to be taking that out. And Gramps and I are going to be pushing pretty hard here in the next month. We're on a team. We're doing a team for the Springfield. And so I know he's doing the individual. I'm going down to do some recon at the end of May, starting tomorrow. And so, yeah, it's going to be a good time. I don't know that area at all, so I'm going to find some good places to load in. I'm not sure if I'm going to go to the lake. I know there's a lot of great smallmouth fishing around there, so we will see what happens.
Yeah. I know a person that won the team event this year. So if you need any pointers,
ooh,
I know a guy.
do.
Not on your body of water, though. I have no idea where you're going.
Yeah, there we go.
The team aspect is cool. I love that. Like it was really neat. Blake, Abby, and I did it, and it's cool to be able to share information and spots, like literal locations. We also did the individual, so there was a little bit of like not completely being on top of each other, but I don't know. It was just neat to be able to just share all the juice because you want the other person to succeed, and you're also like checking throughout the day, like how are they doing? Are they catching them too? If they're not with you, it's like so you're like rooting on like. It's not just your buddy, like, oh, hope he does well. It's like, no, like, this is my teammate. Like, come on, man. Like, go get him. And it was really cool. So that was a cool aspect as well. I like that.
It's so funny because when I got into tournaments, I got in and really started getting into them with kind of the knucklehead and for the last couple of years. Mm-hmm. And I kind of started with the team approach. So I love the team approach. I love the camaraderie. We'd stay at the same Airbnb. We could share things. And so that was a good time. So I don't know anything other than team approach, but getting tactical a little bit, Jake. What are your favorite smallmouth lures for the river?
Oh,
you got a ton of crap hanging up behind you for those listening in, by the way. What's all of that?
Yeah, those are Vision 110s in various colors. There's some Pop Maxes back there too, like that.
You got like $10,000
top water,
worth of Vision 110s hanging up behind you.
Maybe, I don't know. That's my college fund for the kids.
For the kids. Oh, that's hilarious.
So
I think top water.
Sorry, is there a lag on my end? I got lightning outside. It's a little wild right now. I feel like I'm getting a lag from Jake. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah.
Okay.
He does have a lag a little bit.
Yeah, we got storms.
Yeah, just a little lag, but it's not too bad.
All right. Walk me through some of the lures that you like. You were talking about top water. You had a bunch of jerk baits behind you. What's going through your mind? What are you pulling out when?
I think when I first get to the river, like I always try to start with a moving bait, like a spinner bait or a chatter bait or top water. And typically, like when you get, you're not getting what you want. That's when I start to experiment with some of the slower stuff. Like, I got a lot of jerk baits over there, and jerk baits are one of my favorite river lures, but it's only in certain times of the year. Like I would honestly rather throw like a swim bait. Like I'm talking like a tiny clash or something big for smallmouth than a jerk bait from like probably like April until probably around September, October. And then you start throwing jerk baits until like, October through like March. But I always do feel like you got to start with those moving baits before you start to do things like, like this. This is actually one of my favorite river lures, which is a TRD bug, which I don't know if you ever heard of that. It's just like a little creature bait, like a Ned type bait. Yeah. So, if the bite gets tough, I will go to finesse. Like all winter long, I was throwing like tubes and Ned rigs and stuff like that, catching solid fish. Like I fish the river whenever you can. Like if it's, I would rather fish the river in winter than summer sometimes, because like winter is when you're going to catch giants. Like last year, my biggest smallmouth was in the winter.
What's your PB smallmouth?
Weight wise, like 5, I want to say, and then length wise 20 and a quarter. So I don't get those giant length smallmouth in the Ozarks like some people do. I have caught a lot of 20s, and I've caught even more 19s, like the 19 and 20 range, like just short of 20. And I caught a 20 in Wisconsin last year as well at the Riverfest. So, I've caught 20s a lot of places, but it just seems like I can't get over that hump. So I'm hoping when I go up to Minnesota for that event, I'll get some time to fish, and I'm looking to get like a 21, 22 type smallmouth. So I've had some 21s hooked before, but they've always eluded me.
That's such a fierce fight when they're that
Yeah.
long.
Yeah. They're brutal. I mean, that's why I like them though. Like they're just, I mean, if you lose them, you lose them, it's either your fault or it wasn't meant to be. So
It's been forever since I caught a smallmouth. But dude, when I hooked the first like big smallmouth on Dale Hollow, I hooked was relatively shallow. It was like 5-6 feet of water. I thought it was a largemouth on a bed. It ended up being a smallmouth. And I set the hook in it. And the first thing it did was come towards me and jump like 3 feet from my kayak. And just a rainbow, right? Like, I was like, what? Like, this is wild. It was, I mean, they were doing acrobats in the air. And I'm not finessing them either. Like I said, I had 16-pound fluorocarbons.
Yeah, you're forcing those in.
Coming up and just doing wild stuff. I'm like, this is crazy. And there's no keeping it quiet. Like, there's no fighting them quietly because there's other boats around you. Like, they decided to come up and they just shoot towards the sky. So,
you get people creeping in on you at all, Seth, after they see you slaying them out there?
Just boats, not kayak anglers. Yeah, boats came up and were messing around me. But I even had trolling guys. They're out there trolling with like 10 rods, just come rolling right by. But no.
Are you guys aware of how the world record smallmouth was caught in that lake?
I knew it was in that lake. I don't know how.
He was trolling off a houseboat.
Off a houseboat?
Yeah, that is crazy.
His wife netted the fish for him.
That is nuts.
What was the record? Do you remember?
Yeah, it's like 12 something.
I don't know if they make them like that anymore in there. Maybe.
No, they definitely still catch giants out of there. I think they caught a 9, I want to say,
really?
last year. Yeah, so one interesting fact about Dale Hollow is the fish in there are long. The world record smallmouth was 27 and a half, I want to say. Definitely over 27. But they have caught multiple in that like 24 to 26 inch range, which is wild if you think about it. Could you imagine having to bust out like the bigger catchboard for a smallmouth?
Yeah,
like,
that's the one I had, but I must have found all the juveniles because they were like 18, 19 inches.
Yeah, I'm not saying that like that's like a regular occurrence. I'm just saying like Dale Hollow has potential for that. Like I don't think they regularly churn out like 9-pounders, but it it has happened. For a while there, I think they had like the top 3 before the Gobi explosion in the Great Lakes.
I can't imagine what the fight would be like on a 27-inch smallmouth out of there. I'm looking into like.
Well, when you're in a houseboat, like I don't know if the.
Yeah, that's a little different. Yeah.
Wow,
that's crazy.
So was it super busy down there, guys, at Dale Hollow? I mean, like super busy.
Yeah, but honestly, I was talking to somebody about this morning. I didn't think that it felt bad. Like it was busy, but I didn't feel like it was like it wasn't impacting things. Like. There was so much fish in the lake that like it didn't matter, right? Like some lakes, it feels like you're fishing on top of people, but like it just, I guess where I was at was a lot more peaceful. But even when I was on the main lake, I didn't find like it was that bad personally.
Yeah. So there was a 200+ boat tournament going on the same day.
Oh, wow!
So
dude, they made it to me.
Yes, but the thing about it, Daren, is that. They can, but they typically don't target smallmouth because there's a slot that they can't keep. So if they're out there catching 18, 19, 20-inch smallmouth, that does no good for them. So they're mostly targeting largemouth or what's the top end, Jake? Is it 21 inches they can?
It might be, yeah. I mean,
yeah. So
a 21-inch smallmouth isn't something like, I mean, they're obviously in there. People caught them in our event, but that's a gamble,
Oh yeah, so that or it's under 16 or something like that. that they can keep. So that's really not even in their game plan unless you're doing MLF style.
Mhm.
So these people that are using live wells really are largemouth fishing.
I think that's why they all made their way to me, because I had a guy on day one roll up, and he was fishing on the outside cut of where I was. He's throwing a white jackhammer. He catches 5, throws them in the box, takes off. And I'm like, well, I guess he's going to go look for his smallmouth now because he got his limit. Because, you get the smallmouth, throw the largemouth into the deep out there and swap them out for a 21-inch smallmouth.
Wow. What was big bass for the kayak series?
22 and a quarter.
Caught next to Jake.
Mm-hmm. On a frog.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was right next to me.
Who got that one?
I've got it on GoPro.
Oh, you're that close. You actually got him.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking to him all morning.
Okay.
And I was a good guy because he fished there day one. And I was like, hey, man, like, I know that, we're coming into your spot. Like, just tell me where you want to start and I won't start there.
Yeah.
And that's where he started. And I was like, man, I should start there.
That's where I
should have been the villain.
I mean, how big? I mean, I've never been on Dale Hill. How big is this lake? I mean, you guys are saying it doesn't feel crowded, but when you got hundreds of boats and kayaks.
I feel like there's a ton of cuts you can get lost in. Like, it's just, there's plenty of space.
Yeah, and there's a ton of fish. Like, you could probably catch fish anywhere. They just might not win. They might not win. They might be dinks. Like, I feel like every laydown that I've checked out had fish. I mean, every cut had fish. It's just some had a lot more than others. But there were fish everywhere that I went. And but yeah, there's like Jake said, there's a lot of cuts. There's a whole main lake channel, and then there's cuts that go deep back in there. And then there's a lot of flooded timber.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, however you wanted to fish, you could probably find it.
Yeah,
it was a good fishery for sure. Like, it was nice.
So 2 questions, switching gears a little bit. 2 questions around smallmouth fishing. Choose your own adventure, Jake. 2 questions here. What's one technique that you haven't shared yet? You think more people should try for river smallmouth but don't? Or what's the biggest mistake you see anglers making when targeting smallmouth in rivers and streams?
I think that a lot of people think that you need to throw small baits for river smallmouth, and I think glide baits are actually one of the most effective tools, especially like those big soft glide baits like mag drafts and 7-inch glide bait. I mean, I've seen people catch them on the TK9, and I know it seems crazy, but there was the story about how someone saved a smallmouth that had like an 8-inch bluegill shoved down its mouth at Dale Hollow. It just goes to show you, like, when a river smallmouth gets to that 18-inch mark, it becomes a different species of fish. It's no longer like, thinking small ball. It's thinking he's a predator. He's on the top. He's going to eat big baits. He's going to eat big fish. I've watched them eat suckers. They grab them, they fold them over, and they swallow them. Like,
Jeez.
And those suckers are like 6-7 inches long, So like, I think the big bait thing is catching on in the river, but I think that once people really start to realize that when the time is right, throwing a glide bait is arguably the most effective lure to catch a big smallmouth on the river. So,
Yeah, I mean, I see freaking creek fishing. I mean, creek crawler. I mean, he's throwing traces and getting monster smallmouth here in Ohio. So it's interesting. Yeah, you typically, when I think river fishing, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go get a Nico leech, I'm gonna get a Ned rig, and those usually pick them up. But man, all right, good to know. So if you're out there looking for a trophy,
it's the drawing power. Like, it might not get you the most, but I've caught 12-inch smallmouth on 6-inch glide baits. So
it really is amazing what a small fish will go after. I'm constantly amazed at some of the baits that I throw. And I was like, you really came up and tried to eat this thing? It's like nearly your size half the time. So
yeah. Can I go on a quick tangent on the glide bait?
Of course you can. So
on the Elite Series, I don't know if you guys were able to watch any of that this past weekend, but was it Paul Marks? I think he had it was a largemouth, not a smallmouth, but it was on a bed, and it was being a little lazy, wasn't biting his baits, so he threw a glide bait. I've never done this. Maybe you guys know this, but I've never done it. Obviously, if you're bed fishing and you're sight fishing, you have to hook them in the mouth, or you got to throw them back, right? In the Bassmaster Elite. So he took his hooks off his glide bait and was throwing just like a blank glide bait in there to fire up that female on the bed. So because it has like a drawing power, and it's just like they get angry at glide baits, but he wanted to make sure he didn't make the mistake of hooking it outside the mouth. So he would throw it in there, get the girl fired up, the big bass, and then he would toss his other bait in there and then catch her once she was fired up. So that's a technique I didn't know or never tried on bed fishing. So that's going to go in the arsenal in the future. A hookless glide bait to catch big bass on beds.
Interesting. Very interesting.
So that's a tangent.
There you go. So, Jake, what do you have on the horizon? I mean, are you primarily on Instagram? I know you also have other platforms. What's your go-to? Where can people find you?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram. Obviously IlYakkin, and I also do YouTube. I'd say those are my two primary ones. I do more long form, obviously, on YouTube. And then I also dabble a little bit in TikTok. Like I've done it mostly mirrors Instagram though, but TikTok's a hard nut to crack. It's a much different animal over there.
Yeah. What's the main differences that you find between the platforms that you've kind of dialed in?
I think TikTok is a little less I want to say educated on fishing, but it's like you run into a lot of people over there that don't understand what's going on. So like you'll get like really strange comments where it's like I had one guy who was like, "Oh, you're hurting the fish," and I'm like, "Why are you watching this video then? Like if that's how you feel." Like it's just stuff like that.
Oh, I get that everywhere. In fact, I'm getting comments. Someone's trying to troll me right now, calling me ignorant and stuff as I'm looking at my phone on one of my platforms. I have no clue which one. It doesn't happen very often. Like, it's interesting. I was talking to my wife, and I got this really awesome comment from a guy. He's like, "Hey, I've been following you. You really helped me put me on fish, bigger fish. Thank you so much." And then the next will be the complete opposite. And then it's interesting people. And I love it because once you start getting more, if you're in a content creator, the more like kind of troll, I call them troll comments you get. This means that the algorithm is putting you in front of people that you typically don't get put in front of. Yeah. So typically it's a good thing if you're like, oh, it's not something that you're doing as a content creator. Like, hey, you're an idiot. It's literally just pushing it to new audiences who may or may not know anything about fishing and think they do. And so it's usually a good sign when you start getting onside. And usually you're at the beginning of the fishing season, more people are searching. It's usually when you get that. It's an interesting role. But yeah,
Jake's rocking on YouTube. He has like 5,000 subs.
Come on now. When did you start that?
I started taking it a little bit more seriously last year.
Yeah. By more seriously, what do you mean?
I just started posting more long form content, focusing more on like higher quality long form content. It was never really a focus of mine when I was, I was working for another company where we managed some YouTube channels, and like in the past, I had like an 80,000 subscriber YouTube channel that I used to run when I was younger that focused on like computer parts and building computers and like that sort of thing. So like I had some background in it, and I finally decided like, I might as well dabble a little bit the reason why I kind of dragged my feet is I felt like I wasn't sure how I wanted to do it. And I've really focused more on just like more raw style stuff of like sharing the actual like adventure from point A to point B. Whereas it's not like just, hey, here's my stupid tournament. It's like there's a narrative behind it, and like you can see it and like, watch it unfold. And just even if I don't do well, I still post. I posted Lake Fork, and I don't know if you guys are familiar of what a disaster that was. It was so windy, and like I couldn't even fish. I don't even know how I caught the fish that I caught. I just like willed myself to catch a handful of fish, and like I didn't even end up submitting all my fish because it didn't even matter. There's no AOI, so it's like it was just winner take all. And it's like, does it really matter if I need to? Should I really drive 10 minutes into town to submit these 2 12-inch fish that I caught? No, probably not. But it was just like one of those things where it's like I still wanted to post it so that people could see that like even though it was windy and I couldn't fish well, like there's like learnings here, fighting through it, actually catching some fish. Like I think I lost a couple of fish that day too, and it's like here's what you don't do. So that's kind of why like I start the way I've kind of positioned it is just being like the journey versus just like here's a dude with a fish. Because like I've always told people, if you want to make it in like the fishing content world, you have to be more of dude with fish.
What do you like better, the short form or longer form content creation?
I like them both pretty equally. I think short form is interesting to me because you get to share a bunch of moments. You know, you get to chop it up. But I think like sometimes short form can really cause a lot of confusion, and you get that's like people watch it and they don't see like how it unfolded because you're much more limited. I do like that now there's a push towards that 1 minute mark because most of my reels are over a minute.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I've been starting to goof around with the pushing into the 2 minute, up to 3. And it's like, all right, this is interesting. But you really almost got to put it like a small movie together in order to keep people's attention that long. It is, it's fascinating. Wade Life said, hey, Wendell, thanks for responding back to my question about Newport 180 today. 100%. I literally all day long, I try to actually respond to every comment. I definitely read them all. I'll probably respond to 90% of them if they require some type of comment back. So appreciate everybody who listens in. If you haven't done so yet, please hit that like button. Sorry about some of the technical difficulties I had on my end, but Seth always saves the day per usual. And so, Jake, where can we can find you at is it IlYakkin at every single one of those?
Yep, just whatever it is right there.
There it is.
Case. Not sometimes that confuses people, but there is a IlYakkin with 1K out there somewhere.
Oh no!
Are you the guy with 2, or is he?
I'm the guy with 2.
There you go.
But did he make his first, or did you beat him?
Yeah, he made his first. I would have just done 1K, but it is what it is, I guess.
What are the odds of that?
Well, Jake, appreciate your time on. Thanks for. I look forward to actually spending some time with you, Springfield. Also, the 2 that are taking place in Pennsylvania. I believe I'm going to be at those as well. I'm going to show up early. I imagine you're going to be there early as well. So
plenty of big smallmouth opportunities at all of those.
Woo, so come on.
The St. Cloud 1 and 2. That one's going to be a banger, man. If you ever wanted to catch a trophy smallmouth, that's the one.
Too far for me. I can't. It's a long drive for me. I like the ones in Springfield. It's like 2 hours from me. The one around Pittsburgh, 2 hours. The other one's 4 hours. I can handle those. I'm not the guy yet who travels around the country like Seth. He called me at like 7:00 p.m. He's like, hey, bro, got second, blah, 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 blah. I got a 9-hour drive tonight. I was like, you are a madman. And you're probably working the next day, too, if I know you, Seth.
Yeah, but then they ended up not needing me. So, yeah.
But nice to know the night before.
Yeah, I drove the whole way across the country. It took a long time. I got there. They're like, you know what? We're probably good for the day. So, you're good. I'm like, you have got to be kidding me. I just drove. I tried staying up all night to get here on time.
Did you sleep at all, or are you just planning on skipping a night of sleep and going straight into work?
I skipped a night of sleep, but I couldn't make it. So I every 2 hours, I'd pull at a rest stop and sleep for 30 minutes. And it would reset my body a little bit, like reset my attention. And then I'd go again. It was pretty miserable. I'll never do it again. Put it that way.
Yeah, you're an animal. That sounds
no, I was a zombie yesterday. Like I couldn't even have regular conversations with my wife. Like I was out of it. So yeah, I'm taking Mondays off from now on.
I love it. I think if you bring home some money, you should be able to take the Monday off. So
yeah, or just don't place. Then you get to go home right after the line's out. So
yeah, I made that mistake of not having my truck packed, so I had to drive back down to Tennessee and then back to Kentucky.
Oh shoot! Yeah,
because I was actually fishing in Kentucky.
Okay. What? I wasn't following you. What were you doing in Kentucky?
Well, they're both the lakes in both states, Tennessee.
Got it. And you were staying on the. All right.
I was staying in Birdstown, right?
Yeah.
And I was driving up to Kentucky to fish. So,
Seth, where is that trophy, by the way? I would have that in my backdrop, and you have it on the floor corner or something like that. There it is. Beautiful.
Hey, the thing about these trophies, which I didn't realize, is they're heavy. Probably not a good judge of weight at 10 pounds, 15 pounds. I don't know. It's meaty.
You'd be surprised how expensive they are too.
I can pawn it? No, I'm just playing. I would never.
How much are those things to make?
Expensive.
Well, come on, you know that I need to know it's expensive.
It's not. I can't divulge it because I don't know. I think it's like the rates are like it's definitely like over $100.
Oh, okay.
Well, this feels way more than 100. It cost me more than 100 to get, but I don't know. I didn't expect them to be as heavy as they are.
Yeah.
And you see the elite guys with like the giant, really nice ones, and they like struggle to like get it over their head. But he's great.
I have one of the Kayak Adventure Series ones back there actually, and this one is even heavy. Like these ones are even heavy. This is my first place youth trophy. I earned it.
How'd you get the youth?
Because it was left over. We didn't have any
nice.
at the championship, so I default am the Bruce Knock youth champion.
I got mine back there.
You need to take all those pictures of those trees down, Seth, and you need to plaster your wall with your stacked checks in the background.
We'll get it all pretty one day. There, it'll be pretty one day.
It'll be good, and I'll get my audio fixed one day, and we'll get a new intro one of these days too. Working on that, so it'll be good. Well, Jake, appreciate your time. Great to meet you. Thanks for sharing a little bit. Love talking about your time down at Dale Hollow. Look forward to fishing against you in some upcoming tournaments. And so go check out IlYakkin on the platforms. Give him a like, give him a sub, follow him along. And next week we are not going to have the KFO show. I'll be down in Gunnersville, and it's just going to be a packed week. And I don't want to take all of my mics that don't work right now and try to figure that out on the road. So we'll be kicking it back off. I got people booked, Seth, through mid-June. And so we have a nice lineup of a variety of individuals. So it should be good. I know last year we were doing every other week for the podcast. This year I am doubling down. We're doing every week. So we're going to keep the thing rocking and rolling all throughout the summer. And do the weekly thing. But I'll see everybody in 2 weeks, and hope you have a great time. Go out there and slay them. And see you in a couple weeks, 8:30 p.m. Eastern on the KFO show. You guys have a great rest of your night.
Yep. Take care.
See ya.